Red Zoners, Elvin and Jay are here, counting down the top 5 Hour of Devastation cards for Modern. But before we begin, make sure to hit that subscribe button. So we're taking turns, starting with my number 5, Hollow One, which is an artifact creature golem. Well, for 5. And Hollow One costs 2 less to cast for each card you've cycled or discarded this turn, and it has cycling 2. It's also a 4/4. I like this because Dredge is a very strong archetype in Modern, and this one allows Dredge to not only survive things that destroy their library, but gives them a very effective clock after sideboard, because normally Dredge really falters after sideboard, so it helps that. And also, it with a lot of different cards that cause you to discard quickly, one or more Hollow Ones can come out on the first turn.
I never actually thought of the card in a Dredge deck, which is why I didn't think about it in Modern. I was thinking it could be in some sort of cycling deck, which it's gonna be too slow for. But yeah, on Dredge it might be a thing. Do they have lists that have this in like the sideboard already or something?
Not that I've seen, but if you think about it, a lot of Dredge gets hurt with, after sideboard. But if post sideboard you take some of your Dredge cards out and put in Hollow Ones, it actually would bypass some of the things that Dredge is really weak against, and just gives you a big 4/4 to come in first, second turn and just start wailing
I don't
on the
think
opponent.
they can do it first turn. I think the fastest
Not
is-
likely.
No, it's
turn,
not,
maybe.
not likely, but I just think it's impossible. But yeah, second turn, yeah, that might
It's
be a
possible.
thing. So for my number 5, it's Liliana's Defeat. For a black mana, destroy target black creature or black planeswalker. If it was a Liliana planeswalker, its controller loses 3 life. So you don't really care about the controller loses 3 life thing. But yeah, it's something that destroys a black creature or a black planeswalker. And I mean, Liliana of the Veil is everywhere in Modern, and
Yeah.
black creatures are maybe, I don't know, 30 to 40% of the metagame. I mean, this might not be a main deckable card. Who knows? It might be right now because of Death Shadow.
Yes,
but,
exactly.
But there's Fatal Push for that anyway. But yeah, I think it's good. It's gonna be there's gonna be at least like 2 copies in the black sideboards of this card. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a really. I thought of adding that card. It's actually my top 10. I was thinking between sideboard cards that really affected it, and I thought that my top 5 was a bit more. It's really needed for a specific deck. But yeah, I think a lot of decks will have this one in their sideboard.
Yeah, the way I chose my top 5 is I chose the ones that most likely will see play, as opposed to what specific decks will need. So I guess that's how it was different.
Yep. For my number 4, though, I have Nimble Obstructionist, which is a 2 and a blue bird wizard with flash and flying, cycling for 2 and a blue. And if you cycle Nimble Obstructionist, you counter target activated or triggered ability you don't control. It's a 3/1. You're really looking at the fact that it is essentially an uncounterable.
Stifle.
There's a stifle. There you go. That's the card. It's an uncounterable stifle. So for that itself, it's I think going to be a really big card in Modern.
Yeah, I've seen the card in top 5 lists everywhere for Modern. I don't like the card for Modern. And it's just something that's, it feels like it costs a lot more. If it's a sideboard card, then I'd rather play Stifle. I'd rather be like on my second turn, if I'm like a blue-green deck or something, I'd rather play a Tarmogoyf and have Stifle up or something like that, then do nothing and then have that up. I don't know. I know it's good. I know people think it's good. I just don't like it for whatever reason. Well,
That's
not
fair.
for whatever reason, for the reason that it costs a lot. And there's Vendilion Click and a lot of other things. Anyway, for my number 4 though, it's Bontu's Last Reckoning. 1 black sorcery, destroy all creatures, lands you control do not untap during your next untap step. So it's a wrath that's 1 turn early, and you could probably say that why not just play Languish or Damnation and stuff like that, and you don't have the drawback. Well, it's a card that you're gonna need when you need a 3rd turn rat, and you do need that for some decks. You might need that against fish, you might need it against elves, you might need it against Living End, Dredge. You know, there are a lot of mass creature combo fast decks right now, and you know, this might be the answer to that. So it might be a sideboard card, it might reach the main deck, who knows?
Yeah, I really like Bontus. It's just that I was thinking that for modern, the fact that you're essentially skipping a turn because of your lands don't untap.
I was thinking it's more for against the all-in combo decks where they dump everything and just kill you if you don't have a rat on turn 3.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, you skip a turn, but they don't have a hand anymore. Things like that. It's not really for the tempo kind of play.
For my number 3 though would be Ramunap Excavator, which is a 2 and a green Naga Cleric, which is 2/3. But the thing you really care about is that you may play land cards from your graveyard. It is essentially a creature that is essentially a green Crucible of Worlds.
Yeah, I also have that on my list, and I'm gonna talk about why I like it later. Okay, so my number 3 is Solemnity, and like I said, I want to put cards that are most likely to see you play, and this is what Solemnity does. It's 2 and a white enchantment. Players can't get counters, and counters can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands. So what it does is it beats Infect, and it gives you another combo with Pyrexian Unlive. So if you have Pyrexian Unlive and your opponent doesn't have anything to destroy one of those cards, you just cannot lose the game ever. So you know, it in your ad nauseum decks, and you know, probably against other decks that like I don't know how much legs it has against Affinity. It might make them a lot slower, and I don't know if it can be played against them though. But yeah, it's gonna see play for sure.
Yeah, I actually have this much lower on my much higher on my list, so I'll talk about it when I get to it. For my number 2, it's actually an aftermath card, Claim to Fame, which is a Claim is a black sorcery that returns target creature with converted mana cost of 2 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. And Fame is a 1 and a red sorcery with Aftermath, meaning it can only be cast from the graveyard. Target creature gains haste and +2/+0 until end of turn. So this one is a card that is really, really good in Modern because of the plethora of 2 cost or less creatures that are so powerful. Snapcaster Mage, Death Shadow, even for combo decks, this allows you to essentially go off if you need them to come into play. And then with haste, this just does so many things for so many decks, and it's really for 3 mana you can do so many things. Oh, also Tarmogoyf is 2 cost, so that's another thing that Claim to Fame can do.
Okay, well yeah, I also have this on my list obviously, and I'm just gonna talk about it then. But for now, my number 2 would be Ramunap Excavator. Why I think it's really good in Modern is simply because of Ghost Quarter. Like now you have the means to destroy a land every turn. And you know, Modern is a non-basic land heavy set. So I assume that once you have this out, you're gonna be destroying at least one land probably every 2 turns or something like that. And you know, you automatically win against decks like the Tron decks and you know, things like that. And yeah, you could play fetch lands from the graveyard, which gives you another land per turn, but I don't think that's gonna be too much of a thing because you're already on 3 mana anyway. So like the 4th and the 5th is not, I mean, it's gonna matter, but it's not that big compared to just just being able to play Ghost Quarter every turn. And you know, if your opponent has one and you have one, then yeah, you can counter his Ghost Quarter strategy by just playing your own land every turn. So yeah, there you go.
For my number 1 is actually was mentioned earlier, it's Solemnity, and I want to just expound on something that you said earlier, where I do think this can affect Affinity. So Affinity, it affects 2 very solid archetypes in Modern: Affinity and Infect. Infect completely shuts down, and Affinity it really does slow down because your Ravager comes into play with, it just dies.
Yeah.
And so it's a bunch of the cards there. You'll just have to work with your equipment, and that just takes away one more avenue for that, and it allows you to be better prepared when fighting Affinity. The fact that it is a great sideboard card for 2 very popular deck types, and it also is a combo piece on its own, makes it I think the one of the best, if not the best, card in Hour of Devastation for a modern player.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't so sure about how good it's gonna be against Affinity because it's a third turn card.
Yes.
But yeah, other than that, it's like what you said. My number one, on the other hand, is your number two, which is Claim to Fame. For the reasons you mentioned earlier, it's good, and you know, it's just that I guess around maybe 90% of modern creatures are 2-drops and below. So you have your Snapcaster Mage, your Death Shadow, your, I don't know, possibly your Infect creatures, Tarmogoyf, and I'm probably missing a few other good ones too. I mean, you could possibly play this in Affinity as well. I mean, to bring back Ravagers. I don't know. You have black, and if you have creatures, you're gonna play this card. It becomes your 5th to 8th copy of whatever good creatures you played. I mean, even if, I don't know if that Dark Confidant is no longer a thing, but yeah, even if you had him, you still have him, then you'd still be playing this. It's just too good.
So tell us what you think of our list.
What your top 5 cards are?
What other top 5 cards you want to see?
And we'll see you in the next video.
Bye-bye.